Next, please join me in welcoming to the stage the President of the General Assembly, Her Excellency Annalena Baerbock.
10 years ago, world leaders gathered here at the United Nations and made audacious commitment to transform our world through sustainable development. 17 goals, just a number, 17. But one promise, to leave no one behind, absolutely no one. Where do we stand with 5 years to go until 2030? As the Secretary General has said, certainly we made some progress. Child mortality has been halved compared to the start of the millennium. Clean energy now generates more than 40% of the world's electricity, part of an urgently needed shift to renewables. Nearly 1 billion people have gained access to safe drinking waters since 2015. Social protection now reaches over half of humanity, up from less than 43% a decade ago. These are not abstract gains. They matter. They matter to the children in sub-Saharan Africa who survive their 5th birthday, to the families in South Asia who drink from a tap instead of contaminated rivers, to parents in Latin America who can send their children to school because social protection spares them the choice between food and fees. Every life improved matters. Every life saved matters. However, we hear some people speaking about the goals as if they were just abstract numbers, 1 and 7, and not real lives. And this is why, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we should not wonder that we are not moving as fast as we should on the foundational promises of the Sustainable Development Goals. This is why we have to speak out to those who are trying to get rid of these numbers, the 17 goals. And this is why, in today's world, people are still being left behind. We are falling far short of our ambitions, and our stalled progress has yet to recover from the blow dealt by the COVID-19 pandemic. Only 35% of the SDGs are on track. Nearly half, 47%, are seeing insufficient progress. 18% have gone into even reverse. The financial picture is equally stark. At a moment of rising need, net official development assistance fell by 7.1% last year. Meanwhile, developing countries paid a record of $1.4 trillion just to service external debt in 2023. That had been funded for solar panels. This money could have been used for expanded healthcare, for schools. The gap towards 2030, our challenge, is not a lack of solutions. It's a lack of political will, sometimes intentionally. It's a lack of resources. Achieving the SDGs requires investments, political and financial investments. And therefore it was an important moment that member states reaffirmed in the Seville commitment last June that closing financing gaps is essential. Vulnerable countries must have access to concessional financing to build infrastructure and uphold the rights of their people. This includes not only least developed countries such as Mozambique, where much of the population still lacks clean water and struggles with basic necessities, but also nations deemed middle income by GDP despite their acute vulnerabilities. Small island developing states like the Maldives confronting rising seas that threaten their very territory. And landlocked nations like Mongolia, where harsh winters and advancing desertification undermine food security. All of them need the financial support required to secure their future. But they also need support to protect themselves from the climate crisis. Loss and damage must be addressed to those who lose their homes or livelihoods, who bear the costs alone. Energy transition must be fair, protecting both workers and towns as we move away from fossil fuels. And ecosystems must be restored, because without healthy forests, rivers, and reefs, there's no foundation for life. Development will only be fair and sustainable if it makes space for voices too often ignored. And if we combine our efforts and show solidarity with each other, let us act with the understanding that the 2030 agenda is not beyond reach. Let us generate the necessary political will and the financial resources. Yes, 5 years' time is not much time. But if we need, we can proceed with urgency and solidarity. If we can act with the conviction that we are truly better together, we can still shape a better future. Or as Salome has said in her wonderful poem, let us build the time capsule for our children, filled with dignity and justice, for every person in every community, in a world where no one is left behind. I thank you.